Hi! On the Woodpecker today, we finally installed the door. In my last episode, Renée and I put the finishing touches on the door frame. It's hard to believe how much we worked on this door in almost a year. From dismantling the original frame to building a new, smaller one. Let's not forget about everything we had to do on the door also. All this took a crazy amount of time. In all, Renée and I each spent 113 hours on the reconstruction of this frame from October to June. That's why when Martin came at the beginning of August to pick up all the parts, we were both pretty happy. Since we worked a lot on this frame, we were super careful to make sure it wouldn't get damaged during transportation. All the parts are well protected. After removing the door and putting it on my workbench, I removed the hinges. Next, we put the frame on the ground and unscrew everything. When that's done, we make sure that these parts are protected too, and we load them into the truck. I take advantage of having helping hands to dismantle the door opening, which had been in the workshop since last October. A few days later, we met at Martin's with another of our former colleagues, also named Alain. After a few minutes, we are ready to work. The first thing to tackle is removing the existing doors and the frame. While Alain works on that, I take care of assembling the frame. The first thing to do is to cut some dominoes. Next, we glue them in the small sections at the bottom of the frame. In fact, these are the only places where there are no screws. When the glue is spread and the pieces are in place, I put clamps to hold everything in place. But we don't really have time to wait for the glue to dry. So I drive nails through the dominoes to hold them in place. I start all over again for the other side. While I'm doing that, Alain manages to remove the doors. Martin goes with it. Just one look and you can see that he thinks that this door is heavy. Wait until he realizes that his new door is even heavier. But to be able to install it, I have to finish assembling the frame. There are quite a few screws to screw. To be able to insert the top piece, I have to bring the bottom together and then the top goes into place. It just needs to be screwed. Now that the new frame is assembled, we just have to finish removing the old door. It's nice to see someone at work other than me. Removing the frame took so long that my camera's battery died. But as you can see, we still managed. Here it is on the lawn. I wanted to see if my measurements were right, so we put the frame that I made in place. It goes in really easily. It's also true that the door sill is not there. Yes, we are going to reuse the original one. But there is still this section of aluminum that needs to be removed for the new configuration. But it's not a big deal, because Martin has a table saw that can cut that. But there are also some aluminum sections to remove behind it. I will also have to take care of that. As you can see, it's not as easy as the other side. It takes us 8 times longer to cut this little piece. Unfortunately, it was only one of the 3 sections that had to be cut to be able to reuse the door sill. It's not really going any faster for the other ones. When all the excess pieces are cut, I make sure that everything is at the same height. Here is the door sill returned to its original place with the unwanted sections removed. Here's the first cut. It's pretty clean. And we won't see it anymore when everything will be in place. But right then, it starts to rain. Lucky for us, the door is under a covered part of the house, so we can continue to work without the rain bothering us. When the new frame is in place, I put some screws so that it does not move. Next, we can screw the hinges in place. In all this rain, Martin and Alain bring the door. I'm pretty sure that it's at least twice as heavy as the original doors. Finally, when the door is in place, I can screw it onto the hinges. Then we make the adjustments so that it closes well, and we screw another small screw to hold everything in place. Now it's time to screw the bottom part to the floor. In addition, as we go through the aluminum, the door sill will be screwed to the floor at the same time. Now it's possible to screw the real screws that will really hold the frame in place. I have to start by drilling holes to be able to counterbore the screws heads. The screws are a bit long, so I have to start screwing them with an angle screwdriver. When the impact screwdriver can be used, we use it because it's much faster. But that was only the first screw. We put in a lot more than just one. Now that the frame will no longer move, Alain takes care of installing the door handle, while Renée and I take care of putting the many stoppers in place. One thing that's fun at Martin's is that I can use tools that I don't have at home. Let's just say that installing the handle was not the easiest thing of the day. Here I am, nailing in place the weather stripping at the top of the door, which is the only piece of copper that we had been forced to remove. Next, Renée and I finish installing the stoppers for the door. But that's not all. The 2 side lights still have to be put in place. Before installing the moldings to hold them in place, I make sure that the impost is really at the right place. I had not made any space for the caulking, in the corners of any molding. So I have to do this now. With the moldings ready to be put in place, all that remains to do is spread a bead of caulking around the side lights. Lucky for me that it will be covered, because as you can see, applying caulking is not my strength. I was also lucky that the finish is still oily, because cleaning the spill I made is quite easy. Now I can nail the moldings in place. The side lights have their moldings, but the impost still has to be caulked and molded. But it's not finished yet. We still need to put the glass panes in place. This time, I let Alain take care of the caulking. Next, I put the glass pane in place, and then come the moldings.
J'aimerais tellement, moi, en plus, de pas avoir d'électricité.
I nail everything. The very last thing to do is to put caulking under the weather stripping that is on the door sill. When it's done, I put it in place. And there you have it. The door is installed. Yes, there are still a few things to do, but Martin will take care of them. It was the installation of the door frame that Renée and I modified for Martin. I hope you enjoyed the 4 episodes on this modification and installation. Renée and I worked a lot to get to this result. But the most important thing is that Martin is super happy. We'll see you soon for another episode of The Woodpecker.